your mission should be to stretch out the match and make it last as long as possible. I admire the guy for recognizing his best chance might be to play big pots early.
Phil Ivey with Jack-9 has called. Justin Smith is folded, and Moritz, he's content to see a flop with a Queen-Jack. Here's the flop.
Both players have flopped second pair.
Moritz has a better kicker. He has jacks for the queen. And Moritz has checked.
Well, Phil Ivey is going to bet to jacks as anybody would after a guy didn't raise before the flop and then checked on the flop.
Moritz is going to call. It's a $200,000 bet. There is an ace out there. It goes 4th Street.
Well, because neither player raised before the flop, you're just not going to put your opponent on an ace, especially when another ace comes off. So again, Moritz checks. And again, Ivey is reaching for chips. Maybe he thinks his opponent's got a straight draw or a flush draw here, or just 2 4s. He's going to bet the jacks.
Yeah, $500,000. And Moritz with a pretty quick call.
Well, that should turn the light on for Phil Ivey that the guy's got something.
Ivey in a lot of trouble right now. Going to the river.
Well, the 3 of diamonds comes off. Moritz again checks the aces and jacks. Well, that's in my mind. This is just an easy check.
Wow.
But Phil Ivey is betting $700,000 here.
He can only get called if he's beat.
Well, unless you think your opponent's going to pay you off for the 4 in this spot, where you're just on a stone bluff or a king high.
I call.
Wow. He's been called, and Ivey is not going to like it. He turns up the jacks with a 9 kicker, but it's not going to beat the jacks with the queen kicker. So the German is going to take this pot down, and you can see the anguished look on Phil Ivey's face. Yeah, Ivey may be the greatest player on earth, but I didn't like his river bet there for 3 reasons. 1, if he's got the best hand, chances are he's not going to get paid off, so he gains nothing by betting. 2, if he gets check raised, he's toast. And 3, it's risk versus reward. If he wins the pot, he'll have multi-millions anyway, but if he loses it, going from $1.7 million down to $1 million is huge with the blinds and antes as high as they are now. Now, Tony Dunst has been following all the action. I'd like to hear what he's got to say.
Hi, I'm Tony Dunst, Bond 18 Online, and I do have a lot to say about that hand, Mike, and I must admit I see it rather differently. I think it's too easy to be an armchair quarterback and say that Phil made a mistake. It's also easy to not agree with his river bet for the reasons that Mike Sexton gave, but I think his analysis is results-oriented. What happens all the times when Phil bets the river and Moritz folds a worse pair or a missed draw? What about the times Moritz decides to hero call with a 4 or makes a sensible call with a worse jack and Ivey ends up looking like a genius for getting 3 streets of value on a weak holding? It's a mistake to believe the end result of a hand dictates what is good play from bad play. Let's break it down. Ivey limps the button holding Jack-9 and 13 big blinds, which is strange as most players would play this hand and this stack is a push or fold decision pre-flop. Ivey is likely assuming that Moritz will move in with many of his strongest holdings pre-flop, such as any ace, all pairs, king-queen, king-jack, even queen-jack, in order to avoid an awkward, out-of-position spot against Ivey post-flop. On the flop in turn, it seems to me that both players make the standard decision. I really like Ivey's river bet though, because the majority of the time he has the best hand against Moritz's range. Let me repeat that. The majority of the time he will have the best hand against Moritz's range, and he can potentially get thin value plus prevent Moritz from gaining information in the event he elects to fold. When Ivey turns over his hand, the look on his face tells me that he believes he has the best hand. I think the craziest thing about this hand is not how it played out, but that Phil Ivey actually had a reaction after it. Typically, Phil's the kind of guy who remains seated during a game-winning buzzer beater. I thought he was a robot. But that big reaction proves that he is human. What it doesn't prove is that he made a mistake.
I tell you.